aircraft. And the Murrah building bombing in 1995, that was, a gun was not used that day. And evil's going to try to find its most easiest source. I don't mean to take too much time on.
I would say that people are not born evil. Evil exists, but overall, I don't think any of you folks are evil. I could be wrong about that. I hope not. But evil exists, and the thing to remember about closing these loopholes is that when that's done, it will take two criminals to transact that sale: the seller and the buyer. So you make a dent. It's not a cure-all, it's not perfect, but you make a dent in gun violence prevention or illegal sale of guns by doing that, and you make illegal guns more expensive, and hopefully we can price the bad guy out of the market.
Any other questions? I know some of you were jotting down things. Yes.
Has there been any research about people who have pointed to their guns and maybe accidentally shot someone, but they were trying to defend themselves or trying to intimidate?
So thwarting a crime?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, and one of the best examples, there's two, and I call them Bubba's, just some good old boys in Alabama. It's Georgia, in Kennebunk, Alabama, or Georgia. They're sitting at an IHOP at 4 o'clock in the morning. They're sitting there. A guy drives up who had stolen a car, and he was gonna go in and rob the IHOP. There's two guys at 4 a.m. in the morning, and they're both carrying a .45 on their hip. And so he sees them, he goes back out and gets in the stolen car. A police officer drives up. He drives up and he recognizes the stolen car, gets the guy out. Obviously he's not too smart, and the guy says, yeah, I was getting ready to rob the store, but I saw those two guys there with guns, so I was waiting. There's two guys thwarted, they're eating their pancakes at 4 in the morning, and they're stopping a crime. They don't even know they're stopping a crime. So yes, and then like I said, the NRA says, I don't know if the number is accurate or not, but they said there's over 2 million of these a year, but obviously they're just not reported, and the media doesn't run with it, of thwarted crimes because the presence of a firearm stopped the crime.
Was that your question? You said accident.
Kind of, sort of, I'm sorry.
Accidentally, like they accidentally shot somebody, like they were trying to like.
They were trying
Oh,
to
an accident.
And they either hurt themselves or were hurt by the perpetrator.
The person, and this is going to surprise you, the most people that harm themselves in that instances are police officers. But we expect that because police officers engage, but the stats on a common citizen, I'm going to tell you, I'm sure it's happened, but the number is not in a statistical area to where I can say that it makes a significant difference of any type.
I would just say about that NRA number, it's highly disputed, and if I remember correctly, it comes from a guy named John Lott, who is a frequently discredited, I think he's an economist, but he writes a lot about gun-related issues, and sometimes his research doesn't hold up very well under scrutiny. Thank you to Mary Rosh.
He finds results that are completely different than what everyone else had asked. He would release his data so other people could analyze it. He said he lost it.
Yeah, he's often disputed, I guess is what I would say.
Well, I know John Lott. I have his phone number. We can call him right now. Let's see if he would dispute him. I have his books, which are crammed full of information. He spoke at our meetings, and I would find that completely inconsistent actually I would find it consistent with the media bias against it because it doesn't meet what they want to state. So.
In the media, it's academics. It's
academics will tell you all day long that firearms are the issue and not the person. So in the whole thing.
What we're hearing here is it's guns don't kill people, people kill people. That's the bumper sticker. And the counter bumper sticker to that is people with guns kill people much more effectively than with other weapons. Guns are really, really good at what they're designed to do, and that's to kill and damage things. And they're very effective. That's why the old thing about bringing a knife to a gunfight, that old joke is funny, is because the lethality, the comparative lethality of a knife compared to a gun is really laughable.
So when I was driving into work this morning, I was listening to NPR, and there was a news story about faith-based social justice movements arising on the left. You know, we have the evangelical Christian movement supporting the right in terms of politics. And there's now a movement where the left is forming faith-based groups to get more involved in politics around social justice issues. And the woman they were interviewing from a Baptist church in Georgia talked about how they're making alliances between the pro-life and pro-choice aspects of the faith-based movement. So a group that normally wouldn't talk to each other is coming together because they have a shared goal of reducing the number of abortions. So when I was listening to these speakers, I heard areas of commonality in their arguments. So I want to see what you heard in terms of areas of commonality. Yes.
I got a few. One of them was self-defense, so we talked about. Another one was like using like background checks, making sure that like the people with firearms are obviously educated and they know how to use them, and just making sure that like every precaution is taken when using a firearm, whether that be making sure that they're secured in your own home so that there's no accidental shootings or whatever.
That's a great list. Any other areas of commonality that you heard?
I bet there's even more. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
I'm sorry.
no. I think this is important to find areas of agreement, and then to also recognize that these positions are informed by evidence, and sometimes that evidence is up for debate. So social science research is not, any science is not a purely objective enterprise. That there are values. So what values did each of our speakers represent?
They both care about life. It might come from like slightly different views on it, but you both care about people's rights to live.
Agreed. Yeah.
That's where I saw a big commonality right there. Is there's two different, very different arguments, but you just care and want people to stay safe.
That's great. What were some different values articulated? Or what values were held higher by one speaker versus another? What did Mr. Spencer say was the value that they are trying to support with their organization?
Self-defense.
Self-defense, yes, that was one. What was another one?
Safety.
Safety, great. There was, what?
Freedom.
Freedom, and I heard liberty.
You're right.
What values did you hear from Neil, Mr. Hester?
Prevention.
Prevention.
Not anti-gun, but anti-gun violence.
Anti-violence. Great. All right. Any other questions for our panelists? Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just we'll stay put for a few minutes, but I'm going to let the speakers out.
Sorry, my bag is buried back here.
Thank you.
I got too much junk. Okay.
I'll just back out.
Okay.
Thank you guys for coming in.
Well,
I
thank you.
appreciate it.
You bet.
Nice meeting you. Likewise.
We'll see you at the Capitol, I'm sure.
Do you mind
we'll
if
be
we
there.
get a picture? We wanted to post the debate on our
Absolutely.
sociology website.
Yeah,
Sure.
You guys right over here, that way we're not competing with any other thing in the background.